All right, class. First off, as always, good day. I'm glad you're here. Today, we're going to be looking at the first part of the Great Depression. Now, the thing is, I hate to say this, but the thing is, the Great Depression was such an important part, and it's so huge that I have to break it down into two parts. One part is when we're in class. So that's what we're going to go through today. The second part is going to be very, very short, but it's going to be only online. So if you're watching it now online and you weren't in class, um, the second part's going to be up. Okay. So be sure you look for that. Be sure you get that part done. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started with this lesson. So again, the objectives today. We're going to analyze the events that led to the Great Depression. We're going to examine the effects that the Great Depression had, not just on the US, but the entire world. It truly deserved its name, the Great Depression. They didn't mess around with the term this time. No, they meant it, the Great Depression. The last part is create an argument on which part of experiencing the Great Depression was the hardest. That question is basically you're gonna like kind of like rank this, because you're gonna hear all the stuff that people went through, and you're basically gonna rank it like which one do you think was the worst, second the worst, third the worst, fourth the worst, thing that these poor people experienced at that time. Okay, but first let's go up to the warm up. So here's the picture. Let me move this video a little bit over here. There we go. So the first question asks you to analyze the picture and tell me what's going on here. All right. This is pretty funny and just picture that I found several years ago. And the thing is, I it perfectly shows a great illustration of you know what the lesson's about. The second question says, who do you think the animals in the front? Who do they represent? So if you look at the little container thing that they're in, it should tell you right there. And then it says who the people represent. So if you look behind the animals, there's several cars, and on two of them it says what those people are. Okay, so be sure you look at that and actually write it down. Don't just put, oh, they're people on a roller coaster. No, you will not get your points because that tells me you cannot see the thing that's written on the side, which is right there for you. So be sure you write that down. The second question or the third question say it says, why do you think the people are scared? So again, don't the roller coaster is a metaphor. So why are these people scared? Okay. So again, what do investors and Wall Street people, what do they have in common? What's the link? Okay, and then why would these people be scared? All right, so pause the video, answer the question, but we're moving on in three, two, one. All right, so the Great Depression, or it's known as the Crash of 29, um, basically, here's the thing. In the 1920s, the economy was amazing. It was booming. The nation's wealth basically doubled from 1920 into 1929. And that's why the era is known as the Roaring Twenties, because everyone's having fun and hollering, things going on. We got, again, with the Harlem Renaissance, we got people enjoying themselves, stuff like that. The reason why a lot of people were making money is because of the stock market. Okay, the stock market is located in New York on Wall Street. Okay, this is the place where people still to this day place money or invest money in stock into companies and things like that. Okay, now here's the thing about the 1920s. Everybody and their mama put money into the stock market. From millionaires to very low income workers, everybody was putting money into the stock market. Problem was some of these low income people were putting their life savings. They're like, you know what, by the way things are booming and things like that, I have like $15,000 in life savings, so I'll put that into the stock market, and in 5 years, it's going to be, instead of 15, it's going to be 45,000. And if I leave in there longer, it's going to grow even bigger, you know. So the market had a quick expansion, which was very rapid, very quick, very hard hitting. And it's reached its peak in August 1929. That's the highest it went. And then it went down. But here's the thing, this is a term still used in the stock market today. They say, is a bear or a bull economy? Okay. A bull means that the economy is on the rise and things are good. Okay. It's charging, right? Charging. Think of it like that. A bull, roar, just charging forward, right? The bear means things are starting to go down, the stock is decreasing. So think like an attack, you know. So when a bear attacks, it's like going full force and it's going to kill whatever it's attacking. Okay, so that's the terms they use in Wall Street. Again, still to this day, is it a bear or is it a bull economy? Now, the thing is, factory production had been in decline and unemployment had gone up. And here's a little kicker. The uh, government, the U.S. government, basically deregulated a lot of stuff. They let businesses do what they wanted, and banks do what they wanted, without them looking over the shoulder and going, "Oh, that's illegal. You can't do that." So a lot of these, the stock prices was actually much higher than what they were actually worth. So you might be like, "Oh my God, the stock in a Walmart is $1,000. Oh my God!" But in reality, it was more worth like $400, maybe $300. So it was, that's the kind of thing that was happening. On top of that, the wages of workers started to go down. Workers were not paid the same as they were before, and the average citizen had to go into some form of debt. They had to put credit. They had to, they're like, "Oh, I'll pay that, a little bit later. I'll put it to credit," and they started accumulating debt. And farmers were struggling because there was a huge drought. Rain had not come, and when it did come, it just came and gone. It didn't really make an impact, and that made food prices basically um, become really high, and then people couldn't afford it no more. So the prices that the money that these farmers were getting was getting really low. You know. And lastly, banks had large loans that they could not sell to other banks. So what happens usually is when a bank, this is how the banking system works. When you take out a loan, let's say you take out $10,000 loan, they give you the money, and then you have to start paying them back with interest. Now the thing is, another bank will be like, "Hey," they might be playing the long game, you know, and they're like, "Well, hey, we'll buy that loan from you for um, $15,000." The bank will say, "Maybe, okay, yeah, sure, here you go." They'll take the 15,000, and then now you owe that other bank the debt because they bought that loan. Um, so that's how that works. Now, all of this, keep that in the back of your mind, okay? Because it plays a role. Now, things were going great until the summer of 1929. Consumers, people didn't really buy as much. And what happened was, because people were not buying things, goods were being left in the shelves. And especially food and other things started to get rotten because, again, they have an expiration date. So some things cannot last as long as others. And because nobody was buying things, this made companies and factories kind of slow down. It's like, why keep making things if these companies aren't going to buy it? So let's slow it down. Okay. And the stock market, again, continued to keep growing and growing and growing, even though things look like it should not be growing. It should be going down. People are not working now. Factories are not making as much. Farmers are not making enough food. So everything should, the way it is working and the way things are going, the stock market should be going down, not up. And this made some people who were noticing this very nervous, and they're like, "Yeah, we got a future prediction that in the fall, in October, November, stuff like that, the prices are still going to be going high, and it looks like it shouldn't be. So this is where some people who were really paying attention to everything was like, yeah, I need to get out of this. And on October 24th, 1929, this when things started really coming to fruition, where investors began selling off their overpriced shares. They were like, yeah, this is not worth what it is, and they try to sell it to some sucker trying to sell them off. And they would sell their shares in companies, banks, other type of investments, and things started to get really bad because people were like, well, why is this group dumping all their shares? What's going on here? I have shares in that. The prices start going down. No, no, sell, 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 sell. And people are panicking like crazy. Um, this is the beginning of the crash. 12.9 million shares were sold that day. You should not be selling that much in one day. That's pretty bad. It became known as Black Thursday. Now, the weekend comes, and some people were like, "Oh, things are going to get bad. Things are really going to get bad. I'm going to tell my investor, my stockbroker person, to keep selling and sell all I have. Maybe I might make some money." And then there were some people who were like, "No, no, no. This was just a hiccup. Things are going to get better. People are panicking. Let them panic. Yeah, you know what? If the stock goes low enough, I'll buy it. No, people are just panicking. That's all it is. So again, you got two schools of thought going on at this time. So here's my question to you. If you were back in October 25th, 1929, the day after Black Thursday, and you had $500 in stock market shares, would you want your broker to sell your shares as soon as the bell rang on Monday, or would you want them to hold on to it? Hold on to it. It might go back up. The price might go back up. What do you think? And then why did you choose this option? Whether you said to sell or to hold on to it, why did you pick that? Okay, so pause the video. Um, we're moving on in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so October 29th, which is known as Black Tuesday, 16 million shares were traded. And this caused another panic that was felt all throughout Wall Street. Again, people were panicking and they were like, get me out, get me out. So if you said, oh, get me out, you were one of those people who panicked and really made things worse. If you said, oh, I'm holding on to my share, you personally didn't make things panic, you didn't make things worse, but your shares were worthless, basically. Millions and upon millions of shares were worthless, instantaneously worthless. Basically, they were just pieces of paper worth nothing. And some investors who bought stock on borrowed money, which is called marginal, these guys were completely wiped out. Everything they owned, gone. They had to pay back all that stuff, so they had nothing left. They were completely wiped out because of the stock market. And a lot of people did that. Those people who played the stock market, some of that, they fell under that category. Now, many people tried to take their money out of their banks. They were like, okay, you know what? This is gone far enough. I'm going to go to my bank, get my money out, put in my mattress or whatever. Here's the problem. The banks had only the amount of money that they had taken in. They didn't remember banks at this time, even now to this day, they don't carry every single dollar that you put in. No, 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 they don't do that. You know, so that's the thing when people from all over the local towns would go to their bank and be like, "I want my money. I put $200 in here." They would be like, yeah, we can only give you like $100 or $20." Well, where's the rest of my money? Because again, people didn't know how the banking system worked. The money you put in, they lent out to people. And then when they get the money paid back to them, Then that's how the bank makes their money. But again, people at that time, and still to this day, don't know how banking systems work. Think that if I put money in, it's going to be there. And in reality, it's not there. So here is your next question. Do you think that putting your extra money into the stock market is a smart thing to do, or is it a risk not worth taking? Okay. What do you truly believe? Okay. Now, again, I put this here, a little disclaimer. Remember, putting your money in the stock market doesn't guarantee a profit. Just because you put your money in there doesn't mean you're going to get it back. Okay. And let's say you do make a profit, something. Okay, let's say you put in $1,000 and you made a $50,000. Okay. You're not going to get the whole $50,000. You might get like maybe, depends on your tax bracket, maybe about 25,000. Because again, the government, they want their money. You got to pay that tax because that's additional income coming to you. So they're going to tax it. Okay. So there you go. Okay. So tell me what you think. Uh, Pause the video because we're moving on in 3, 2, 1. So sadly, people lost confidence in the spending of their money. They're like, this stuff sucks, things like that. I want to hold on to it and spend my money only on things I need, like food and my rent or my mortgage, things like that, to a place to live in. Nobody was investing. Nobody was spending money on, nice couches and extra clothes and things like that. All of that kind of stuff went away. They were not going to spend their extra money on that stuff, only the things they needed. So this made factories even slow down to, I mean, basically a halt. They stopped making things basically, and they had to fire people, you know. So people were getting fired left and right. Those who were lucky and fortunate to have a job saw their pay go down, you know, pretty darn quick. And that the prices of items really started to rise because the thing is, remember, supply and demand. There's not enough of this product. Therefore, the price is going to go higher. Okay. When companies are making things, products, whether if it's PlayStations or TVs or whatever, the more they make, the lower the price gets for us. But when they stop making that stuff and there's no more new stuff being made, the price goes high. Okay. Um, and also Americans were forced to go buying their essential needs stuff on credit. Now some people had no money left. So now they're like, well, I need food. I need, stuff for my family. So they would get stuff on credit, you know, and uh, the thing is, some of their things they bought on credit before the crash, they bought a new, you know, car, if they bought a new, uh, sofa, things like that, bed, all because now they can't pay their bill. Now all that stuff was taken away, you know, and some people couldn't pay their mortgage, couldn't pay back for the rent of their places, so they were forced out of their homes, and some of the homes were foreclosed by the banks, so nobody could live there. Now the thing is, this was not limited just to the United States. The money was dependent on the gold standard. Okay, that's how money was used back in the day. Okay, depending how much gold your country had, that's how valuable your dollar was worth. Okay, and you could actually take money like U.S. dollars and convert it to gold. Say like let's say France said, you know what, we have $50 million of U.S. We want to exchange it for the gold. They could do that. You know, um, but the thing is, because of the gold standard, this caused a problem with the currency exchange way and the way the economy was with the depression. It made things very difficult, and this caused economic problem throughout the world, especially Europe. Because the United States was invested in Europe, we were doing stuff helping them out, and they were buying stuff from us, especially Germany and France, and this really, really threw everything into a tailspin. Now, President Hoover, along with other world leaders, they basically tried to convince their citizens to, you know what, hey, this is going to be okay. We're in a hiccup. Granted, yeah, this is a bad time, but it's going to run its course. Things are going to get better. It's going to go away. It didn't. This Great Depression lasted. Okay. In the 1930s, 4 million Americans were looking for jobs a year. Oh, and then basically a year later, it jumped to 6 million. So more and more people were losing their jobs, and production of stuff, whether it's tables or couches or whatever, basically dropped by half. Uh, there were so many people who were now homeless that they were basically living anywhere, parks, on benches. They made shack towns. They called them Hoovervilles. And it wasn't just limited to big cities. It was small cities as well. This thing hurt our country so bad, but it also hurt the world. Okay, soup kitchens and bread lines were had to be made available for people, or else they starved to death. And these soup kitchens, they basically got like a thing of chicken and put in a big old pot of water and whatever vegetables they can get, maybe cut some small little pieces, and then just hand it to the people. So it was more water than it was actually food. Okay. So here's your next question. If you were president at that time, what would you do and explain why? So you have one advisor who's telling you, tell the American people the truth about how bad things are and how how things can be. If you do this, the American people may really start to panic and it may cause chaos, rioting in every major city and town, and possibly a revolt against you. Okay. But you have another advisor who suggests downplaying it, saying it's going to be okay. Try to reassure the people that will get better. Okay. Now, if you do this, there's a chance that this will damage everyone's spirits even more because you're bringing up their hopes. And as time goes on, they realize things are not getting better. Their faith and their spirit is going to dwindle, not only in themselves, but in the government and specifically you. They're going to look at you as you are the person who ruined our country. In fact, you may be the person who ruined the entire world. So which one would you choose and why? Okay? Which advisor would you listen to? Okay? So pick which one. The writing prompts on the bottom to help you out. Let me know. Okay? I cannot wait to read these. All right? So pause the video. We're moving on in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so now we've come to the exit ticket. So here's my question to you. Remember, pick one of these. Who do you blame for the Great Depression? The stock market people, the people who are buying and this and that, not giving a care about really looking at how things are. They're just like, things are going good. Buy, 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 buy. Do you blame the politicians for deregulating businesses? Oh no, let the businesses do what they want, things like that. Oh, the stock's not worth what it is. They know what to do. They're smart people. Do you blame the banks? Hey, the people put money in. They should be able to expect their money. Do you blame them for lending it out to people and maybe not getting it back? Or do you blame the investors, the people who borrow, the creditors, things like that? Do you blame the people for, hey, you know what? You should have known better. If you don't know stuff about the stock market, you don't know how the banking stuff works, you shouldn't be involved in it. So who do you blame for the Great Depression? Okay, and tell me, why did you choose that person? Or say a group of people. The second question says, what do you think it's going to take in order for our country and the world to get out of the Great Depression? What do you think it's going to take? It's going to take, banks and people to start like forgive debts? Do you think that it's going to cause people need to like the government's going to have to step in, lend money, borrow money? What do you think it's going to take? Okay, so again, pick one of these questions. Um, but once you're finished, that's it. Now, don't forget, there's a second part to this. It's going to be up pretty soon. Okay, so get that done. Okay. Um, you guys, hopefully you learned something new. Hopefully you appreciate um, this lesson and you realize that things were really bad for people back then. Okay. So, you guys take care, be safe, and I'll see you later.